most of us have heard the advice. It hasn't changed much in the last few years from when I first heard it, and it's no more true today than it was when I first learned about these things. the The fundamental idea is, if I scale myself, if I scale my time, if I build an audience online, I will have a profitable income from that. And from that, I will have the lifestyle I want and the freedom that I desire. And I will be able to put my family first. And I will be able to find my purpose as a result of having built an audience online. So if I can figure out how to get seen, if I can market myself effectively, if I can find my community online, I will profit from that. And the scalable models are selling group coaching courses or programs, uh, cohorts of various sorts, or communities, as well as then upselling into private groups or what they call high ticket offers, one-to-one direct relationship work. When you want to do less of that, obviously, and you want a big base to be able to fund the company. So this is the basic idea, and doesn't work. That's the interesting part. And so what I want to talk about is how to form a group without forcing, faking, or funding it, because it doesn't work. Um, so the hidden art of group formation, from purpose to profit, is what we're going to talk about, because this other approach doesn't work. Um, so what's happening now is a recycling of the same idea. So for a long time, it was create your course, create your signature method, monetize your intellectual property, build an audience, and life will be good. Life is good. It's already good. I got sailboats, life is good t-shirt. Doesn't work. So you can do that. Less people are doing it now because the courses are free now. So they're realizing, oh, that didn't work. Or I can only get $15 for it. I need to sell millions of these. Well, how do you do that? Well, you got to get millions of followers. It's never going to happen, especially now. The second option is, well, I'll start a community and I'll charge everybody $49 a month, or how about 150 a month? A few years later, it's going to be a trail of tears for you if you try to do that. You're not going to be able to live off that money. And that's not a side hustle income, because that's not a side hustle activity. Creating a community and monetizing it, that is not a side hustle. That's a full-time thing. And it's a lot of work for not a lot coming out the other end. So watch it. I'm gonna reverse this so you'll understand what's possible today, because those methods don't work. And I'm going to give you my direct experience with those methods. I'm not talking about my opinions. I'm going to share what I've done, my actual experience, what's worked and what hasn't worked. And then finally, how to think about it in a different way. So 5 ways to reframe your group building efforts, because that does work. The way it's being done does not work. And then the last part of this is the group coaching model, which is the idea of scale. So I'm on a stage, they're in the audience, and I scale my time. Doesn't work either. Well, what do we do if none of it works? Well, it doesn't. So then what are we going to do? And that's what we're going to talk about, because there is a way to do this. So the art of group formation is from purpose to profit without selling out. So the traditional build a community advice is pick a niche, create a product, market hard, and hope people show up. And if you're lucky and you're good enough, they will show up, and you still won't make any money. What if that approach is exactly why it fails every time? So what I'm going to talk about is the real path to forming a group that works, not as an audience. That's the mistaken thinking, but as a living system rooted in shared purpose, collaboration, and sustainable growth that works. It is the opposite of, I would say, 99.9999% of the posts I read on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Substack about how to do this. The opposite is what works. So here's my behind the scenes experience building the last one, which I was like, I'm out. This was early 2023 with Solopreneur Inc. Before that, Revenue Climber. And before that, Sales Sherpa. And within all of that, there was a group called the Summit Club, which I also built. And then I said, none of this works. Why am I doing it? I already have a business in the 7 figures. I already have a 7-figure business. Why am I doing this? It was fear, because I felt like that business is too hard. I don't want a service business anymore. I want a scalable group coaching model where the money just comes in. What happened? I got conned. And I believed them. 150 grand I spent with con artists selling me stuff that doesn't work. And they hadn't even done it successfully, a lot of them. Some had, but not long term. A lot of them, their businesses fell apart a year after I did their coaching program, or they're redoing it constantly because it doesn't work. So I'm like, what is going on? How do I do this? I took the leap out of the service business and I want something that actually works, defined as works. So here's 5 ways you can reframe this. And then I'll talk a little bit about my own story and experience with it. And maybe you can glean some things from that. So one is purpose over product. The vision matters more than monetization at the start. This is the first error I made. The first, and I see this is what's taught, is what is taught is focus on the business models and monetization. What I want to not work at all and have my bank account fill up. How's that? Or I just want to go take a walk. I want whatever. Doesn't matter what your definition of what you want is. That's where it's suggested you start. That's backwards. Purpose over product. What's purpose? Crickets. So I'm waiting for the explanation of what purpose is, and it never comes. I'm like, they skipped the most important part. What is purpose? It's uncovered and discovered. It's revealed. Where is purpose? Inside. That's first. Purpose first. Purpose over product. What does purpose lead to? Vision. What is a vision? It comes from your imagination. Whose imagination? Mine, yours, nobody else's. It's left out of all these teaching programs, all of them. 2, create with, not for. Co-creation unlocks commitment and energy. If I'm creating for, I have to market it forever. Forever. It never ends. And at some point, people are going to say, all right, got that, done. What's next? And I'm pivoting for the rest of my life. I already have a business like that. Why would I want to do that again? It's too hard. I finally figured that out. Create with, not for. So when I started this as a beta, what's called Red Pill Pathway, that's gone. Now it's called the Entrepreneur Experience, brought to you by Red Pill Pathway. I attracted people who were right in that time, in that moment, but weren't right to keep going. And none of them did in the beta phase, none of them. And some people got some results, but it was a beta for me. We tried to create with. It didn't work right, but it worked for me to figure out what would work. So that's Red Pill Pathway. And then that led to a launch of a pilot. And there's one person left from that who's a co-founder now of the Entrepreneur Experience Corporation. Everyone else is gone. And then the right people showed up. And that happened recently over the last 6-8 months. And now we have paying customers who are in as early adopters. And now we can finish it because it's together. Co-creation, this is what we're doing, unlocks commitment and energy. We're committed to each other. I'm not marketing to, I'm creating with. That's the difference. 3, early adopter dilemma. What do you do when your first members burn out or stall growth? You got to let them go. And that is some of the most painful, difficult parts of this, because there's people where it's changing, it's evolving, it's adapting, it's growing. And some people are like, no, I want it to be like it was supposed to be over here. Well, you're changing it. No, I don't like that. Well, I'm not changing anything. We're co-creating something together, and the dynamics in the marketplace have shifted. And I'm on the shift as the creator of it, because that's my job, to be the entrepreneur, to be ahead. And they don't want to come. So you got to leave. And that's hard. You got to let those people go that don't want to come. And you can't explain yourself at a certain point if you're the entrepreneur, because no one can see what you can see. Not that you're so special. I'm not saying I'm special. I'm just saying I can see it. So the early adopter dilemma is people will show up when it's new, but they won't necessarily be in it for the long haul when it gets hard. They're going to leave. Let them leave. 4, shared profit models. Equity and revenue sharing can replace traditional incentives. In this new model, which isn't new, it's just not taught in our society. It's old. Shared profit models. That's how we're doing it. The shared profit models are infinitely scalable into the billions. So the kernel in the core of whatever group you're creating to have a permanent solution to the issue of self-employment nightmares and dealing with constant change is this. The form it takes is what you figure out that works for you. It won't be like mine, but it could be, but it won't necessarily be, and it will never be exactly like, because it comes from an inner directed purpose, and everybody's inner directed purpose is different. This is the idea of snowflakes. And I'm not talking about people who aren't strong enough to handle hard criticism. And I'm not talking about the political stuff. I'm talking about every person's unique. So what's your uniqueness? That's purpose. That comes out in form of a vision, which turns into a tangible company. And the shared profit model, equity and revenue sharing, replaces traditional incentives. So you don't have to market to people anymore, because it grows like this. It's a kernel at the center and it grows out. And you don't have to market, which is the hard part. Momentum by design. 5. Equity and revenue sharing can replace traditional incentives. Wait, no, I said this wrong. Momentum by design. How to scale fast enough to avoid stagnation, but slow enough to stay aligned. This is the hardest part. This is the hardest part. Momentum by design means not taking advice from people who can't understand what's happening because they're not in the group in those earlier phases. They can't understand it. Particularly the ones who left early are like, it's not working. What is he doing? It's wrong. And they'll tell people. So you're hurting your reputation. Doesn't make any difference. Because momentum by design is intelligent design. It's creative design. And you can't outstrip the core group as it comes together. Everyone's got to be on board together. And that's hard. And that takes multiple skill sets. And the stagnation comes by scaling too fast because someone feels pressure and says, I need to make money right away. Come on, come on, come on, come on, let's go. Or I want it to be like this, not like you're doing it. Or that's going to create stagnation. You lose flow, you lose cohesive connection and harmony. The harmonics are off then. That's not momentum by design. That's forced results. That's the marketing thinking. Force results. We have to force results so we hit our numbers, so we please the investors. If you have equity and revenue sharing models, you don't need investors anymore. And today you don't need investors because everything's cheap. You have to go slow enough to stay aligned. And you do that by recognizing reality of what's happening. And everybody's got to suck it up and kind of say, I'm in. I've decided I'm in, or I've decided I can't handle this, I'm out. That's entrepreneur activity. So my personal story with this, I'll talk about 15 minutes. So I've been in groups since I was 17 years old of various sorts. Psychiatric ones is where it started. And then AA. And then I left all that because I'm not an alcoholic, but it was great. Good networking. And then I got into networking groups. I'm a big fan of AA, so don't get triggered. I'm just not an alcoholic. And then I got into a lot of networking kind of groups. I went to everything when I was in DC. And then when I came back to Chicago, I didn't need to go to groups. I just went out in the market and cold called like a maniac. And I sold door to door. So I didn't need groups. I just did it. I went after it. I like that method better then. And sometimes later, I like that method better. It's too slow to be in groups and form the groups and all that. And then groups came back later. And that came as a result of needing to network. So when I got out of the family business that I'd built up, I had to do corporate. So I did it through cold calls. I just went after it. And I did that for a number of years without groups. And then as I wanted to get into new markets, I started going to events and groups in Chicago, and then I started doing it globally. And it really worked. And if you go to enough different kinds of events, you see everything. You see the whole economy. So I saw the emergence of cloud computing. I saw the migration of money from IT to the chief marketing officer. I saw the rise of mobile. I saw the ad networks forming on Google and Facebook. I saw all of it after a while. And I started to see all the business models because they're all the same. So the user conferences, the internet conferences, these conferences, that conference, how it all fits together. And over enough years, being in all these groups and the private networking groups and the public networking, I've been in all of them. Over enough years, you start to see it. And that led to, I'm going to do my own. Oh, and I was part of a Toastmasters group in Chicago for 4 years. I was on the board of, I think it was the best Toastmasters group in Chicago, Michigan Avenue Toastmasters. Unbelievable people. It was great. It was great. So I joined the board of that local group, and I went every Tuesday. If I commit to something, I'd go. I'm all in. I was in a Tai Chi dojo, energy dojo group for years. I went every week, and we practiced every day. So if I do it, I'm all in. And I thought, I'm going to build my own. And it came from this idea of passive income. So that was I was testing ideas 2017, 2018. And then in 2019, I really was like, I'm going to do something new. I don't know what it is. And in 2020, I started taking all the how to succeed online courses, particularly on LinkedIn, because it seemed where the smartest people was on LinkedIn. I think that's still true. It's just corporate. It's too late. But it worked back then. And I did a LinkedIn cohort. I learned about this in 2020, and I opened it I get the dates confused sometimes. I think it was end of 2020. And it worked. I called it Sales Sherpa. And one guy in it became a LinkedIn top sales voice before LinkedIn was just figuring out their content creator mode, before creator mode. Another guy who was in it started a company and sold it. By the time I'm still figuring out stuff, he'd already started a company and sold it. He was from Michigan Avenue Toastmasters, actually. So I had 235 something people in this thing. And then I built a school community, not school, that was later, circle community on this. What happened? What happened? They got good results. They got good results. Didn't work for me. And then I moved on to, I realized this isn't working for me. I moved on to Revenue Climber. And Revenue Climber came out of a lawsuit over Sales Sherpa. And I think I realized at a certain point, people don't want to climb a revenue mountain. It's too hard. And everyone's doing that already. And people are lying about it being easy. And they're making all the money selling Revenue Climber programs. So like, this isn't working either. I started an event and it came pretty early and I had very good participation. So it was 20 a week was low, 20 to 70, depending on the guest I brought on. So I created a signature stage, which was the recommendation. Now you're in their networks, other people's audiences, it's called. So I did this for a few years and I had hundreds of people come through and people would say yes. It's interesting who says yes and who doesn't. My audience is bigger than yours crowd said no. I'm not listing their names. And then I like what you're saying crowd, sure, said yes. And some of their audiences were significantly bigger than mine. And some were what would be called famous, celebrity famous, which is hilarious in itself. That model didn't work either. Didn't work. And I stood up a lot of communities on First Circle, then on, and then on Link. It's endless. I did all of them. Now I'm back to Discord, which is the best system for this. And then I went to Solopreneur Inc. because I'm like, this Revenue Climber thing isn't working. They don't want to be revenue climbers. And I noticed with the solopreneur industry, there was this idea of the one-person company and the coach and all this. And I thought, that's the right approach. Makes sense. Doesn't it all? Doesn't it all? Didn't work. Solopreneur Inc. Great brand, great name, great idea. Did it on Skool. That was 2022. Zoom rooms. And the idea was a campus. Kind of like what we got now, but now we're doing it right. But back then, the idea was, let's go market it. Because I had this big audience. And some signed up. And I knew right away, I did this wrong. Now I have to market to everybody. And I have to keep marketing and marketing and marketing. And I already have a business. Why am I doing this to myself? This is worse than the service business. The service business, at least, is in 7 figures already. And I don't have to work. I already did it. Why am I doing this? Because I knew that service business and the way it's being run didn't need me anymore. So I created a business that didn't need me. I didn't ever wanted to do that again. I wanted to create a business that needed me. I wanted to be a part of it. I didn't want to be a part of Solopreneur Inc. And we opened the doors, and then people are coming in, they want to know what to do. And I'm like, this is horrible. And I started giving money back. I still have 2 people I owe money to, and I'm going to give them the money back. I can't right now, but I will. I've already committed to it. And that led to Red Pill Pathway and the entrepreneur experience. So that's the story of the signature stages, the community models. It's being taught again. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, don't listen to these people. It's not going to work for you, especially now. What I did back then couldn't even begin to work now. It's a complete waste of your time if you try to do this. So each one of these experiments revealed different truths to me about what works and what doesn't. Some thrived early but couldn't scale. Others failed to get off the ground completely. But each experiment pointed towards a new model. And that's what I'm talking about is, first, you have to start from aligned purpose for it to be real enough where it really works. Start from aligned purpose, not what will work in the market. Everyone else is doing that. And now they're using ChatGPT. So they're typing into ChatGPT, what sells today? And they're getting really sophisticated about how they're asking these questions. That's a wrong way to do this, because everyone's going to get the same answer and the same result, which will be nothing. Nothing. The people selling the gold mining pants are going to win every time. That's how the gold rush worked. Who won in the gold rush? Levi's, the hotel companies, and the people who sell the pickaxes, the retailers. Gold miners all broke, except the early ones. We're past that. Years past that. It's not going to work. So the new model is not to form a group. The new model is to start from aligned purpose, bring in the right early collaborators, and it may be a group or may not be a group. It's not relevant because it's backwards. You find the product model later. You got to know product models and how it works. You're not going to make any money selling content, and you're not going to make any money on a subscription group at 49 bucks a month. It's never going to happen. You're not going to make money selling courses unless you have a million, and even them, they got millions of followers and they're not making a ton of money. Unless you started 10 years ago or 15 years ago and you love marketing and you can afford 100 grand a month or $1 million a month or the big media spend. That's how they're doing it. I finally figured that out. It took me 2.5 years and 150 grand to realize, oh, it's not going to work. Start from an aligned purpose. Bring in the right early contributors. It will change as you change. As you get a deeper connection to yourself and you know what it is, it's going to change. The contributor pool is going to change. And then build systems that evolve with the group, not on top of it. And this is the absolute key to this for me, and I think for everyone, is if you make it about you, you limit yourself. You limit your potential. If you make it about us, meaning the group, you have unlimited potential today because of the talent of the group to step in and contribute. And that's very difficult to do, very difficult. There has to be some kind of cohesive shared desire approach. Everyone has their own vision. You're not forcing your vision on anybody else. And somebody has to create the damn thing and have an understanding, like I do, of the zeitgeist, of the energy of what's next in the market. If you don't have that person, it's not going to work. But if you have me alone, you got poor, broken, alone in 5 years with a lot of confusion and everybody wondering, what the hell's he doing? Bringing people together is the role. Somebody. Not everybody's going to play that role. This is the point. Which role do you play? I call it peers, mentors, and partners. And I constructed a system called the blueprint, where you can find where you are in the blueprint and what's missing in the blueprint that you need to fill in to fill those gaps. And for me, they're all filled. I don't have to buy anything. I don't have to pay for services in the market anymore, except there's really just one person that we have to pay, and that's it. And that may never change. It may change. It's possible. It doesn't matter, because I don't have to. Everybody's here. And everybody, I mean, all of the capabilities come together in a shared desire community, which isn't a community. It's a group of people doing something that they care about together, where everyone's doing their own thing, their own way, but in an integrated fashion. And for us, that's the hardest part, but now we're getting there. And then all of a sudden, the world will see it, because now it's being integrated. It'll start to make sense. Now, I'm not saying do what I did. I'm trying to get you into some of these principles here around how this works. And most importantly, do not try to make money on a group scaling group coaching model, selling courses, or selling a community subscription if you haven't already done it, or you just know you can do it and you got a budget for big marketing. It's not going to happen. So these 5 things: purpose over product, start inside with what you care about, not what will work in the market. 2, create with, not for, or you're going to have to market the hell out of it. And that's almost impossible right now, unless you're great at it or you have a big media budget. 3rd, early adopter dilemma. A lot of people are going to be attracted to your vision, but they're not ready, and they're not going to change enough to evolve as it evolves, and let them drop off. Don't let them distract you and distort your own vision. 4, shared profit models. There's got to be something in it for everyone involved personally, or they won't stay engaged. And then momentum by design. And this is really about synchronicity. And I don't want to get too philosophical, but momentum by design is allowing it to scale at the right time and the right pace, and releasing yourself from the fear of it not